Debi Cooper, you are a county clerk recorder, and help us understand clearly how we can assure that we can vote.
Well, thank you for having me, Mayor Clarkson. Welcome, everyone. I'm Debi Cooper. I'm the Contra Costa Clerk-Recorder and Registrar of Voters. And this is going to be a historical election. Besides just the politics of it all, the COVID pandemic, PSPS power shutoffs or brownouts and wildfires, we're expecting record turnout. We already have 670,000 registered voters. It's gone up about 30,000 in the last few weeks. And we are expecting to get very close to 700,000 voters, which is a record for us. So I have a short PowerPoint to show you with our, to help show you our plans regarding the upcoming election. So I hope you can all see the screen. So voting during the 2020 pandemic. So this election in November there's a lot of things that are changing and a lot of processes we're putting in place, but for the vast majority of voters, they're not going to see anything different. Over 75% of the Contra Costa voters voted by mail in March. This is what they're used to doing. They're not going to see anything different, but it's going to be a new experience for the other 25%. Some of this has to do, there's been an executive order by the governor of California and then some legislation that requires us to mail a vote by mail ballot to every single registered voter in Contra Costa. What is going to be different is if you choose not to vote by mail and you choose to go to one of our in-person sites, you're going to be faced with social distancing and safety protocols that have not been in place before. Lines are going to seem longer. We're calling it the Trader Joe's effect. Because if you go to Trader Joe's, everyone has had that experience. The line may wrap partway around the building, but in reality, there's only 10 or 12 people in line. So things are going to be similar to that. We're going to be restricting the number of people in our polling places for both the voters' safety and for our staff and our volunteers. We're also expanding our programs for ballot return and in-person voting. We're hoping we give so many opportunities that everyone votes by mail and no one shows up to our in-person sites except for those few people that need in-person services. So we have added 25 more secure ballot drop boxes. We had 12 in March. We're going to have 37 available that are available 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. We're going to have 17 early voting sites. We had 3 in March. And these are sites that are going to be available for 4 days before election, the Friday, Saturday, Monday, and election day. And those are all in-person sites that have the ability to provide services for anyone in the county. So you can go to any one of those. 11 of those are going to be tents located outside in large parking areas where COVID is going to be, you're going to be protected more in those areas because there's going to be more of an outside fresh air atmosphere. We also are going to have generators at those. So if something really horrible happens and we end up with power shutoffs, we're going to have some places available for voting for those 4 days with power by generator. So the part of the legislation allowed an additional 17 days. So ballots that are postmarked by election day, we have until November 20th to receive them. There's some concern about the postal services. We don't share those concerns. We meet with the post office staff every Friday, and they are our partners in this. They're also used to dealing with large amounts of mail. If you think about, it's not just our ballots, think of how many mail-ins you get from candidates and or measures and things like that. So first-class postage is prepaid for the first time. No one has to worry about how many stamps go on an envelope. So we're taking care of all of that for you. You just drop it either in the mailbox or in one of our drop boxes, and we'll make it back to us just fine. All ballots will include an I voted sticker. There's a little picture of it in our 3 languages. Many people go to the polls and drop off their ballot simply to get this sticker. So by including it with every single vote by mail ballot, we're hoping that voters will find other ways to return the ballot besides going to a polling place. And then just want to caveat that vote by mail ballots do take more time to process. So when we have the majority of our people that are voting at the precincts, those ballots get counted at the precincts in our equipment. If everything comes back as vote by mail, we have to check the signature and then open them all, and then we're going to be counting those later. So we're hoping that vote by mail voters send their ballots in early so we can start getting those ready to count in advance. So our secure ballot drop boxes, we moved from 12 to 37. This is what they look like. They're high security design. They are bolted down to the concrete in locations, and they're serviced every day by 2 election staff. So we're emptying those every single day. Because there's so many of them, the list of locations is on our website, cocovote.us, and in the voter information guide that every voter is going to receive. Those voter information guides are going out a week from today on September 24th. So this is just a schematic of where all the drop boxes are. There are 2 in San Ramon, and the locations will be popping up later. So our early voting locations, this is just a schematic picture of what their 20 by 40 tents that are enclosed. They've got an entrance and an exit. All of our COVID protocols can be followed. They're going to be open for 4 days, Friday, Saturday, Monday, and E-Day. 11 of them are in these tents. The other ones are in inside locations. And then we can provide all services there. We purchased electronic poll books this last year, which is a great technology for us. And what that allows us to do is have a copy of every single voter's registration information in the county. It's going to reduce the number of provisional ballots dramatically because we'll be able to issue people the correct ballot on site. And these are the locations of the 17 early voting locations. They're spread throughout the county. And we really tried to find locations where people prefer to vote in person. So we're targeting those folks. So on election day, we are also going to have our polling places. We're hoping no one shows up because they all voted by mail. But there is going to be a place for every person to go if they choose to vote in person. We are going to require personal protective equipment, which means masks, and social distancing protocols will be in place. We've mocked up an election, a draft polling place, and public health personnel and risk management personnel have signed off on it that we're meeting all the social distancing protocols. We will be keeping voters outside and limiting the number inside the facility so that our staff and the volunteers and the voters stay safe. We'll be cleaning the equipment between every voter. Our protocols are very stringent, but we think it keeps everybody safe. And the Trader Joe's effect, so there could and will be lines. We just are letting everyone know that, but they're going to move fast because people will be spread apart. And then this electronic check-in with these electronic poll books is going to eliminate most of our provisional ballots, which speeds up our processing of our final counts for the election. So here's the important dates. September 24th, next Friday, voter information guides are mailed to every voter. And this will have the locations of every ballot drop box and early voting site. I want to also add, the state sends out their voter information guide. I got mine yesterday. So every household gets a state voter information guide. In Contra Costa, every voter gets a Contra Costa voter information guide. And it does seem like it's a lot of paper and things like that. But for some elections, we may have people in the same household that have different political parties or something, and they actually may have a different ballot. So everyone gets their own sample ballot in their voter information guide. And then October 5th or before, our ballots are going to be mailed to all voters. And that's all voters that are registered as of September 9th. That was the cutoff for the data. Anyone that registered after September 9th will still be getting their ballot, but it's probably not going to be mailed out on October 5th. It'll be on a subsequent mailing. And then on October 5th, we start in-person voting here in Martinez, and we unlock all those secure ballot drop boxes so people can start putting their ballots in them. Then we're asking voters that if on October 19th, you haven't received your ballot, that you contact us either at this email address or our phone number, because we want to find out why you didn't get your ballot and get you issued another one. Could be your address was wrong or something like that. And then October 30th is when our 17 early voting sites open, and they'll be open for 4 days. And then of course, November 3rd is election day and the day that all ballots must be postmarked. They can be received by our office up to 17 days after Election Day, but they have to be postmarked by November 3rd. And so November 20th is the last day for us to receive those postmarks. So we want every vote to count, and we want everybody to do their part to be ready to vote. So we've included our website for people to check their registration, or they can register and be sure their mailing address is correct, because that's where their ballot is going to be mailed. And then we want everyone to vote by mail. Please vote the ballot we send you. We will have many places for people to vote to hopefully spread out the number of people in those locations, but we want to keep those locations for services that are required. You know, someone loses their ballot and it's very close to Election Day, or they need to do conditional voter registration because they've moved recently, or they have special language or ADA needs. And then a brand new program is Where's My Ballot, which is through the Secretary of State, and that is with the US Post Office. You can see when the post office mails it, when it's delivered, and it's kind of a cool program. And then of course, we have always had a process where you can sign into our website and see what the disposition is of your ballot. You can see when we receive it, when it's counted. If for some reason it wasn't counted, why? But that's very rare. And then I'm not gonna go through these, but these are all of our online access to our different social media. And then here's a San Ramon, drop boxes and early voting sites. So you have 3 drop boxes, 2 are 24/7, and 1 is available during business hours at the City Hall. And then the San Ramon Community Center is going to be one of our early voting locations. And we really appreciate the city being a partner in this. It really helps us all. And that's it. Our main message: stay safe, vote by mail, spread the word. You know, every vote is important, and we're doing all that we can do to make sure that voters are ready and able to vote. Don't let COVID keep you from voting. We have many ways that you can vote and still stay safe. And you can be confident that the Contra Costa Elections Department is handling your ballot appropriately and safely. We've been doing this a long time. We've been doing a lot of vote by mail for a long time. And the one other thing is, we would like, if you're looking for information about this election, that you go to the source. You go to the city of San Ramon, you go to Contra Costa, you go to the Secretary of State for California. Some of the national voter sites have information that appears in that it's wrong, but it's because they're trying to address issues nationwide, and every state has different laws. So go to the source so you get the information that's appropriate to your location. That's it.
Debbie, thank you very much. I want to comment that in the 22 years I've been involved in public office, I have found the Contra Costa Elections Office to be thoroughly professional and well organized. You guys are role models for the rest of the state. And it complements to the work you guys have done and continue to do in tough times. So thank you so much.
We received a lot of questions about where I can vote in terms of the early voting locations and the Dropbox locations, and Debbie did have that in her presentation. We also have it on the city's website under the city clerk's information, and we'll be sure to post that link in the YouTube comments as well for people to go to. Next question is for Debbie, and it's a two-parter. Do you think there will be more participation by voters who usually don't vote, since they will be receiving a mail-in ballot? And are you concerned about mail fraud? And do you think that there will be less ballot harvesting during COVID-19, and you might need to define ballot harvesting?
Well, historically, vote by mail voters vote at a higher percentage than in-person voters. Part of that is because the ballot's in front of you and you don't have to get in the car and drive to the polling place. So for that reason, and there are statistics that have shown that when agencies or areas or states go to all vote by mail, the turnout does increase. It's not huge because some people don't want to vote. You can't make them. And then, I'm sorry, what was the other question?
The other question was about
harvesting.
Mail fraud and harvesting.
We do not believe there is ballot harvesting in Contra Costa County, which is perhaps at a congregate care facility where someone might intercept the ballots and vote them and turn them in. We check every single signature against the signature we have on file. So it would be very difficult for something like that to happen.
Okay, and where do you get that signature on file? That was another question
Well,
there.
it's from your original registration form, or if you register online, it's your DMV signature. We work in coordination with the Department of Motor Vehicles. So we tell people, because primarily now a lot of people have re-registered or registered online, is to look at their driver's license, and that's how they should sign their ballot. And it should be fine.
And Debbie, we also got a lot of questions about when will my ballot be counted when I drop it off. I believe, I just wanted to reiterate, you did say within about 17 days. That's the goal.
No, well, we would love for everyone to vote their ballot as soon as they get it and either drop it in the mail or drop it at one of our our secure ballot drop boxes. Those will be unlocked the same day the ballots get mailed. And we drop our ballots at the Oakland, Maine post office. So a lot of people receive their ballot the next day. So you should expect it that first week of October.
And specifically to counting after Election Day, how long do you take to count the ballots up to, was it 17 days?
No, 17 days is how long we can receive ballots through the Postal Service after Election Day. They have to be postmarked on or before Election Day, but we have 17 more days. The current law before they changed it was 3 days. So if we received a ballot up until Friday, it was still countable. Now they've added an additional 14 days, so it's 17 days till November 20th. Honestly, we get 99% of those vote by mail ballots by Friday. It's a steep curve after that. There may be a couple that trickle in, and they're primarily going to be our military and overseas voters who have their ballots coming from a much further, distance.
Great.
So we don't count. We can start processing ballots, but we can't count them till after 8 o'clock on election night. So, but we can check the signatures, make sure they're valid, pull the ballots out of the envelopes, get them all ready to go. And we can even start putting them through our system, but we can't push the total button until 8 o'clock on election night.
Okay.
The more ballots we get early, the more ballots will be in that first count.
And we received a few questions also related to that. You could drop it off in any drop box regardless of where you live and it will still be counted?
Absolutely.